More news at 11:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Jordan Brown, 95.5 WSB.
Well, would you look at that? This is the Nightcap with yours truly, Jared Yamamoto. My Nightcap is live every Saturday night from 11 to midnight right here on 95.5 WSB. And oh boy, am I feeling it for all the kiddos around the metro area. Yes, your last weekend of summer freedom is almost over. And I know parents all around the metro area are cheering. They are waving their fists in the air. They are so excited because back to school for most of the metro area is this Monday. I still feel it from the kiddos' perspective. Why? Because me and Mrs. Yamamoto are still child-free. Yes, we are kid-free. So we are in that zone where we talk to our friends and our siblings and family members that have their kids. And I assure you, it is amazing the difference in perspectives that we hear. I have heard from my siblings, I can't wait for the kids to go back to school. I'm tired of coming up with this summer program. I'm tired of having to figure out activities for them to do. I'm exhausted. I can't wait until the kids go back to school. But it's funny, my wife and I often look at it from a different perspective, especially yours truly. I have mentioned here on the show over the past month, really, that I was getting annoyed with all the back-to-school marketing that I saw. Honestly, I saw back-to-school marketing before the 4th of July, before America 250. And I really felt for those kids because the second you start to see that marketing, it starts to kind of creep in a little bit. And I remember my mom and my dad, they would tell me like, oh, back to school is so fun. Remember, you get to see all your friends you haven't seen all summer. You get to go and check out your new classes if you're in middle school and high school. And yeah, all that's great. It's wonderful for a week. And then at that point, you're in school. And don't get me started about all of these school districts starting on August 3rd. I mean, that is absurd. That is the middle of the summer. We have got to figure out a way to let these kids enjoy the true summer months. I mean, I used to bitch and I used to complain about going back to school on August 14th. That felt early to me then. But for these kids to be going back to school this Monday? I mean, hell, some school districts already started this week. I mean, I know Butts County already started. I believe Spalding County already started. There are already metro area school districts that started yesterday, that started on Thursday. And I mean, that is absurd to me that these kids are going back so early. Now, again, for the parents' perspective, I know you're happy about things. But try to think back to your childhood a little bit. Try to think back to the days of you going back to school. Again, that wears off very quickly. And for me, I think about it as a kid. And I'm like, you know what? As a kid, I remember my parents trying to convince me, trying to persuade me why school was so great. And it wasn't that I didn't have friends. I had lots of friends and I was excited to see them. But I was able to think past that and think about, 2 or 3 weeks in, and I would start looking at my agenda, and I'm like, okay, all right, when's the next break? Which, by the way, for most of the metro area, your first break is not going to be until October 14th. So, kiddos, it's going to be a long time until that fall break, October 14th and 16th, for most of the metro area. All right, let's get into the real.
It's the news of the night.
There's for the kiddos out there. I've got your back out there. All right. This story also kind of ties into this weekend because this really pulls at my heartstrings. I brought this up a couple of weeks ago when they made their announcement. But the main park here, it's called Fun Spot America Atlanta, excuse me. It's shutting their doors. It's like a small amusement park, and it's just outside of Fayetteville, in the north end of Fayetteville. I used to go here all the time when it was called Dixieland, and it changed names in 2017, and tomorrow is their last day. And you would think, okay, theme parks aren't really doing that well, Jared. Why would you care? Listen, as a kid, I remember going to Fayette County High School and having a lot of friends that worked at then Dixieland, now Fun Spot America Atlanta. And we had some great memories over the summer going and hanging out, playing on the bumper boats, riding on the bumper cars, doing the arcade games, you name it. They had a roller coaster too. It was a lot of fun. And I'll tell you this, I truly believe that the reason why this amusement park didn't make it was a branding problem here. When you take a name like Dixieland, yeah, I get it. It's got that kind of Southern connotation to it. And for new people moving to Atlanta, you might not like the term Dixie being in the title. But let's be realistic. Fun Spot America? That is a lame name. And it ended up becoming part of a bigger chain of other Fun Spot Americas. So you have a Fun Spot Florida. You have a Fun Spot Texas. And that's just lame. That's just not a good way to market your business. Dixieland stood out as a name, and I think that was one of the main catalysts for it losing so many people over the years. They literally tried their best to bring it back, but the owner, John R.A. Jr., cited the low attendance as the primary reason for shutting things down. So tomorrow is going to be the last day for Fun Spot America Atlanta, or as I call it, Dixieland. And for me, what really hits true and kind of fits with the theme tonight, with the back-to-school jitters that everybody's feeling, at least the kids are feeling, is I remember I met my first summer crush, and we were going to high school together, and she worked at Fun Spot America Atlanta, and we had so much fun there. I mean, literally, she had to work, and then I had like a little summertime job too. And I remember going and just spending time with her, and we had a great time. We were not compatible in the long term, but that's what those kind of places are for, right? You go to an arcade, or you go to a little mini amusement park, or you go to the fair to fall in love with your summer crush. And that brings back really fond memories of going to Fun Spot America Atlanta, Dixieland, over all of those years. And I also had a couple other girlfriends that worked there too. So it brings back really good memories. And to hear that it's shutting down tomorrow really makes me want to change my plans. Just go there just to see it one last time. So again, this it's not anything to write home. It is a small little entertainment venue, and it is just outside of Fayetteville, and tomorrow is its last day. So good memories of going to Dixieland back in the day. And for the kids, you kind of need that. You kind of need to have the freedom to go and play those arcade games and bumper boats and ride a little roller coaster, especially if you got your little crush with you. That makes it that much more fun. So sad to see it shut down, but had to bring it up here because I definitely met my first crush when she worked there at then Dixieland at the time. All right, moving on to more of the news of the day. We've got a lot of local news tonight, and this one is concerning because there are two World Cup stories I'm going to try to tie together here. So number one, this first story comes from the AJC. So apparently South Downtown's $140 million building boom has slowed after Atlanta's World Cup frenzy. I'm going to get to that story here in a second because the other story that's kind of tied with this one comes from WSB TV, and it says, for some Atlanta restaurants, there was no World Cup windfall. And I have a lot to say about both of these. Number one, there were a lot of restaurants that were really trying to capitalize on all of the World Cup hype that was here. And the World Cup was done so well here in Atlanta. It really was. I mean, we were a shining star. If not the best city, one of the top three cities that was hosting any of the games throughout the World Cup. And my whole thing with all of these restaurants going above and beyond trying to show all the games was, in a tournament like this, like the World Cup, where you started off with, I believe it was 48 teams and it got whittled down to just one, right? Eventually, over time, by the time people start hearing about the hype, you've got kind of your bars that you're going to go to or your restaurants that you're going to go to. So for some of these restaurants, I felt like they got involved late in the game trying to get their marketing to get people to go there. Also, if you're going to the FIFA Fan Fest or you went down there It's a Centennial Olympic Park, and they did a great job with the whole setup in there where it was just basically a big screen where you could watch all the different games there. You weren't necessarily leaving Centennial Olympic Park to go to the restaurants around there. You would either go before or after. And I think for the restaurants, that was a mistake there. What they should have done was they should have marketed, hey, after you leave the FIFA Fan Fest, this is where you should come. You should come over here to this brunch spot, or you should come over here to this pub, or you should come over here to this restaurant to get food before you end up Ubering home. And or on the other end, like the games were later, because you had games, especially when the tournament first started, they were at all times of the day and night. So if you could have also marketed the other way as well. I felt like because people were unfamiliar with the times of soccer games, right? Like usually like with the football game, we kind of know that. We're all part of that culture here in the South. We understand, on Saturdays, most games are 12 and 3:30. And then on Sunday, you got your 1 o'clock game for the most part. So you kind of know when the games fall on Saturdays and Sundays for football season, which is what Atlanta is primarily geared to do and what restaurants are accustomed to during the fall especially. I think that they just marketed incorrectly. They should have said, hey, we know this game's at 6 o'clock. We know this game's at noon. Come here for a quick breakfast. We're going to open our doors early at 8 a.m., and you can come in and take advantage of an early opening, get some food, and then go to the game or go to the FIFA Fan Fest, and that would have worked out really, really well. Now, this next story is very concerning to me because South Downtown impressed me a lot. They've done a lot down there to try to draw people in. They have a new Spiller Coffee down there. They have an El Tesoro Mexican restaurant, which is a chain, but a very good Mexican restaurant chain. They also opened up another Brew House location, which if you're unfamiliar with Brew House is a legendary soccer pub that originated in Little Five Points, but has now built a location in South Downtown. And now my concern here is that we had all of this big blitz, right, to get everybody ready for the World Cup. And I knew this was going to happen. And this was my biggest concern, is we spent all this money on infrastructure. We spent all this money trying to fix South Downtown. We spent all this money trying to make sure that everybody was accounted for and accommodated. And now the news is that we are going to pause this $140 million project in South Downtown. This is an absolute mistake. You already have a lot of gains. We're going into football season. You've got Labor Day weekend. You know there's going to be at least 2 games at the Bins that weekend. You know that you've got Dragon Con going on down there. Then you're going to have Falcon season starting right after that. You need to push the gas pedal, help fix this neighborhood. This neighborhood used to be really bad, and there was no positivity at all about it. And I have to say, I think that the $140 million that they were spending was definitely helping. And for them just to push the brakes on it now is an absolute mistake. It's going to take a little bit more time and a little bit more effort to fix it. And you want people to feel safe while they're down there. And they're certainly making strides to go in the right direction there in South Downtown. Again, with a Mexican restaurant, coffee shop, and the new brew house being down there. But you need a little bit more to help it succeed. That's what you need. You need to put a little bit more effort in and keep pushing that gas pedal to help the neighborhood succeed. And it will spill over into other neighborhoods. Look at 4th Ward. Look at Inman Park. Look at the Highlands. All of these neighborhoods had separation between them. Hell, even Midtown had separation between them. And then over time, as people developed and they continued building more and more businesses, more and more homes, all of these neighborhoods now work as one cohesive neighborhood, and that's what needs to happen in downtown in order for it to work out successfully. So I don't like this idea of them pausing this $140 million phase to try to fix South Downtown. Push the gas pedal, Atlanta. Come on, we're doing well. We've got a lot of good things, and the Super Bowl's coming in 2028. All right, when we come back, we have good news from Grant Park. Yes, the new Jovita Moore mural has been unveiled after community outcry. This was absolutely the right call by Bellwood Coffee to do this, and I'm going to tell you why after we take a quick break. More of the Nightcap with Jared Yamamoto in just a few minutes. Be sure to follow me on the socials at Jared Yamamoto if you can't wait. Ronnie is cracking me up on my X account at Jared Yamamoto. He writes, Jared, once you and Mrs. Yamamoto start having kids, you will start to understand the joy of back to school. And Ronnie, you're not wrong. I admitted that when I opened the show. I admitted that I'm sure my perspective will change once the kiddos start coming. But as of right now, I still look at back to school from the kids' perspective, the anxiety that comes with it, and how the parents try to convince you, oh, it's wonderful, it's great. You get your new classes, and you get a chance to walk around, you get a chance to meet your friends. That lasts for about a week. And then I remember after about 2 weeks, I'm like, oh, I want to be back on summer vacation. And even in early elementary school, I remember counting down the days until summer vacation for the next year. That's how much of a summertime guy yours truly, Jared Yamamoto, is. Which, by the way, welcome back to the Nightcap with, of course, yours truly, Jared Yamamoto. I'm on every Saturday from 11 to midnight right here on 95.5 WSB. And if you follow me on my socials like Ronnie did there, I went viral twice this week. I guess I went real viral once and then quasi-viral the second time for two different things. Number one, football season's coming up, and I am very excited. My West Georgia Wolves are going to play their first FBS opponent ever on September 3rd. They're going to be playing Kennesaw State, and really pumped about that. It's going to be a Thursday night game, and there's a lot of optimism, a lot of hope going into this college football season, and I posted a video of West Georgia winning it all in College Football 27 on PS5, and a bunch of old alum from West Georgia picked it up, started sharing it. Some of the team picked it up, and it was really cool. It was really fun, and had an absolute blast going viral with that because it's a dream of mine. I really hope that in my lifetime, West Georgia is able to hoist a national championship trophy and bring it back to Carrollton. I love my West Georgia Wolves, and it's a great school, and I believe that we have the infrastructure and the right personnel to put us in a position to potentially win a national championship in the future. So I went viral for that, and quasi-viral, not quite as viral as that one, but this was a more serious note later in the week with the current situation with the Atlanta Falcons, which the Atlanta Falcons now are an absolute mess. We went into training camp, and I will not belabor this point. I talked about this a lot on my podcast series, Solo Moto, but if you don't know the scenario, our starting quarterback is supposed to be Tua Tagovailoa. He was the Dolphins quarterback last year. Dolphins let him go. We signed him to a nice, easy deal, and now he showed up to camp with a hurt back, and Michael Penix Jr. isn't ready, and it just looks like a mess. At one point, Matt Ryan was throwing passes in our training camp. And this was, again, the first day of training camp earlier this week. Now, we are starting to hear some reports that this kid, Jack Strand, is looking good. But let me just tell you this. As a tortured Atlanta Falcons fan, I would much rather the reports be honest coming out of Flowery Branch than flowering up all of the messages that are coming out of there, telling me how wonderful this kid is, telling me how great this team is going to be. I am genuinely concerned about the Atlanta Falcons and the quarterback situation. And if it continues in this direction, we are in for a very long season. All that being said, I went viral for my takes on both of those on my socials at Jared Yamamoto. When we come back after news, weather, and traffic, we got to get into some new polling right now. Not looking good for the GOP going into November. Got a long way to go, but I want to make sure to bring you the honest facts on that. And we'll get to some even more local news when my Nightcap returns in just a few minutes.
Stephanie Stallworth, Triple Team Traffic, 95.5 WSB.
Here's some music news for all of the music lovers out there. I know I am a big music festival guy, and this weekend is Lollapalooza weekend. And thank you to Disney Plus for putting all of the live streams available on your platform. It's really nice to be able to watch these festivals at home and wish that I could be there in the crowd watching all of these different sets. But I got to say, Lorde was one of the headliners, which Lorde, talented young lady and great performer, but cannot sing to save her life. I mean, bless her heart. She has had an issue, and she's been made fun of for not being able to sing for a long time. She was one of the headliners at Lollapalooza, I believe it was last night, and there was a very ironic moment that happened where Lorde, again, cannot sing to save her life, especially live. She brought out another performer that cannot sing to save her life live, that being Charlie XCX, which, Charlie XCX, that's the Brat Girl Summer. Again, talented performer in Charlie XCX, but both of these women together on stage, neither of them can sing to save their lives. So bravo to Lollapalooza for finding a way to get two performers that can't sing on your headlining stage together. I thoroughly enjoyed it and was chuckling at home while watching that performance. Again, all of that is available on Disney+. Welcome back to the Nightcap with yours truly, Jared Yamamoto. And we got to get into the national news here, but I want to get into Miguel's comment here because Miguel brings up a good thing. He DM'd me on my Instagram at Jared Yamamoto, and he said, hey, Jared, wouldn't it be nice if Atlanta just kept the World Cup standard year-round? And I'm like, Miguel, absolutely. This is what Atlanta should be doing. And Miguel's referring to the story where in South Downtown, they're putting a cap on their $140 million building boom because the World Cup's done. They want to see who moves into these vacant spots and to see whether or not there is actually demand down there. I argued earlier in the show, you got to push the gas. You got to keep on building in that area. That's the way that South Downtown can become a vibrant area of town again. Already you're seeing great success in underground Atlanta, and I think that South Downtown will follow suit. But keep putting the money in there. Keep pushing the gas pedal on it. Don't stop. And Atlanta really annoys me with this because I love our city. You guys know that. Especially if you're a diehard fan of my Nightcap, I love our city. But it seems to me that we're always in panic mode getting ready for a big event. Like our next big event is going to be the Super Bowl in 2028. And we're going to take a break. We're not going to focus on infrastructure. We're not going to focus on the roads until about 8 months before the Super Bowl. I can almost guarantee that that's going to be how the chain of events is going to go. We're going to have a little lull, not worry about sidewalks, not worry about pavement, not worry about roads, not worry about MARTA until about 8 months before the Super Bowl. And then at that point, we'll panic and be like, oh my God, we got to get all this stuff done before the Super Bowl. And if we just maintained a high standard, as Miguel is bringing up, then Atlanta would become a world-class city even faster than it already is. And it probably would be cheaper in the long run if you just maintained it. It's honestly like taking an old school Rudy Giuliani approach to how he was mayor of New York City. Now, again, Giuliani now, crazy guy. But Giuliani, when he was mayor, he really focused on cleaning up the streets. He really focused on making sure that people felt safe. He made sure that he focused on infrastructure. I agree with this approach. Miguel, you're onto something there. And I know I brought it up a couple weeks ago, but I'm glad that you brought up that point here. That's yet another reason why we can't just stop. We can't just put a pause on things and let's see how neighborhoods end up developing naturally. No. If the money is already allocated, let's go for it. Push the gas pedal. Keep these infrastructure projects going. Make Atlanta a desirable place for people to live and for people to visit and for people to come down and watch games. Like that's really what it's all about, is trying to entice tourists to come here. And I know like the big calendar date coming up is going to be Labor Day weekend when you've got Dragon Con, you've got a couple football games at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I mean, it would be nice if we just maintained a standard for that entire amount of time. But for some reason, Atlanta does not like to do that. All right, now getting into the national news here. Now, again, this has been tough because I've been hard on the president lately. And this new news from Iran has not been good. I mean, this continued bombing, the price of gas skyrocketing. I know just filling up for me costs $66, which thankfully, I don't have to drive too far from West Midtown to here at the studios at WSB in Midtown. I don't really get impacted by high gas prices, but I don't like having to pay $66. I don't like having to pay that kind of money. In fact, the last time that I paid that much was when Biden was president. And when Biden was president, I bitched about it then. I didn't like having to pay high gas prices. So I'm really tired of people that are supporters of the president coming after me saying, you just got to suck it up, Jared. You got to suck it up and understand that this is the way it is. We got to do this. We got to pay these high gas prices. But my argument for this whole time has been, but when Biden did it, you were not okay with it, and you wanted to vote him out because of that. So that all being said, just setting the table here, there is a reason why all these polls are coming out favoring Democrats taking over in November. And even if you are, pro Save America Act and you are thinking that all these elections are rigged, I'm sorry. Like, I just don't see it. I don't know how you can't see this blue wave coming this November. I think it's going to be tough for Democrats to get the Senate. I don't know if they can quite swing it or not. But I'm telling you, if the high gas prices remain, if inflation doesn't go down, and the average person doesn't feel any gains, they're going to want change. This is just common sense across the board. I was literally saying the exact same thing when the Biden administration was in. People are not feeling the benefits of these wars. And for some people that are very obsessed with the president and what he does, and they convince themselves that he's right and we should just sacrifice it for him, I'm sorry, I'm not in that camp. I'm in the camp of look around you. You see people that are struggling. You see people that are having to pay these high gas prices. And I'm looking for the party that wants to answer that wants to fix that wants to make a lasting change. Now, does that mean I want to go Democrat socialist? No, it does not mean I want to go Democrat socialist. In fact, I have my own issues with the Democrat Party. The Democrats, in my opinion, have got to show a little bit of patriotism and say, hey, we love this country too, but here's what we would do differently to govern it. And they need to get away from the socialist message and say, hey, not only are we patriots and love this country and think we can govern differently, this is how our form of capitalism can help fix it. That would, they would literally sweep the elections if they were able to do that. But instead, they're allowing the Democrat socialists to commandeer their party and kind of direct them in that direction. That's kind of what's happening now. And so for me, I'm like really lesser of two evils going into November. And we got a lot of time, but as of right now, as a voter, the things that Jared Yamamoto is thinking about is, hey, when I'm going to the grocery store, I'm now going to Costco and I'm going to Walmart because Costco and Walmart are significantly cheaper than going to Publix and Kroger, significantly cheaper than going to either of those places. And why is that? Because I know that I can save some money there and still try to maintain a little bit of the lifestyle that I like. When I'm getting gas, I am using Gas Buddy, the app, to try to find cheap gas around town, because when I'm filling up, I only have to fill up maybe once or twice a month, and I want to make sure I get the best deal for my money. So the party that wants to offer me, Jared Yamamoto, middle-class Jared, the best opportunity to succeed in this country is going to be the party that ends up getting my vote. And for so many people to be blinded by what's going on and just telling me, and again, I'm not just trying to pick on the president specifically. I'm just telling you, I have heard too many people on that side that are like, Jared, it is for the good of this country, and you need to understand that he's the best president ever, and he knows what he's doing, and he's doing it for the right reasons. Well, right now, at home, I'm not feeling that. And if I'm not feeling that, then I know others around me aren't feeling that. And when I see polling data like this one here, and don't come after me again, CNN poll here, voters favor Democrats by an 8-point margin heading into the midterms. Okay, you don't like that it's CNN here. Let me go over to YouGov here for a second, where Trump's job approval hits record low, driven down by Gen X, white Americans, and independents. You going to come after me for that one too? There are countless polls that are coming out suggesting that the president's message is not resonating with average people, with ordinary people. And the party that is willing to try to reach out to ordinary people and say, here's where we're going to help you. Here's how Iran is going to help you in the long run. Because right now, I don't think the message of Iran getting a nuclear weapon anytime soon is resonating with the American people. Do I want Iran to get a nuclear weapon? No. But do I want the cost of goods to come down? Yes, I want the cost of goods to come down. There is truth in both of those statements there. And I think that what's happening is sometimes these administrations get so lost and they forget the direction that they should go. The reason why they got elected was to bring down the high cost of goods and the high cost of gas that we had under the Biden administration. That has been completely lost. And if it requires my voice to be able to say it, then hopefully I am helping out somebody that's listening within the Georgia Republican Party or within the Georgia Democrat Party, quite frankly, because that side doesn't have an answer either to say, hey, how is it that we can make ordinary Americans feel better about their scenario? So when I bring up that polling data, people get mad at me. They yell at me. They're like, no, you just hate the president. I don't hate the president. I call the president. I give the same balls and I give the same strikes that I give to President Trump that I gave to President Biden when he was in office too. And I would do the same thing with Obama because I've been doing radio for a long time. I did college radio when Obama was in office. So believe me, I have been calling balls and strikes for a long time, and that's exactly what I'm doing with this president. And it has been very fulfilling to be able to do that, to not be so invested in his every move, not to be invested in his personality. Because the people that are, whether you love him and you're telling me you need to follow along, Jared, he's got a bigger plan and he knows what's best for this country, or you're just in the party of, I can't stand him, whatever he says is wrong. I don't fall in either of those categories. I can objectively sit here and tell you why people are not vibing with the Republican Party now, and it's because of the cost of goods and the economy, and tell you that with a straight face. That's what's happening now. And Republican strategists can argue with me. Democrat strategists can argue with me. The answer is going to be who is reaching out to the middle class and who has a long-term answer for somebody like me. That's what's going to fix it. Now, one area that I have to give massive praise to the president is because we have locked down the border, we're not seeing scenarios like what's happening in Ceuta. That's Spain's North African territory from Morocco. I mean, about 60,000 migrants have crossed into Spain's North African territory of Ceuta. I mean, this is remarkable. And this is what happens when you don't have a secure border. And having a secured border has helped our country tremendously. Now, don't get me going on ICE, on the people that are already here, being masked up and trying to, rip families apart and trying to question American citizens. That part has been a problem. But in terms of maintaining a secure border, we in the United States are seeing the benefits of that. And looking at what's happening there in Spain's North African territory of Ceuta, that is a perfect example of what it could have been like had the borders been left open here in the United States. All right, when we come back, I've got to talk about the spotted lanternfly, because after being in Virginia, I believe that is the epicenter of these pesky bugs. They were everywhere there, and I think I have a solution on how to get rid of them. I'm not really seeing them in Georgia, but I think Virginia is absolutely the problem, and we need to put some pressure on our fellow southern state to get rid of these spotted lantern flies. The Nightcap with Jared Yamamoto will be right back in just a few minutes. Be sure to follow me on my socials at Jared Yamamoto. Oh boy, made the mistake of checking my socials at Jared Yamamoto, and I see people arguing. They're like, Jared, you don't understand. This president is trying to fix this country and make it better than before. And my simple response, if you're just tuning in the last segment, I said, hey, when gas prices were high under Biden, I didn't like the high gas prices under Biden. I don't like the high gas prices under Trump either. I don't like high gas prices. That's the problem. And I've even got people on the left that are coming at me. How dare you say that capitalism is better than socialism? What are you talking about? Capitalism is the best way for people at the lower end of society to build themselves up from nothing and end up becoming wealthy. And that's the best way to do it instead of living off of a collective. But it's amazing to me how people end up listening to this show. And I could go on and on into it, but I need another hour. So if my bosses are listening, I need another hour of the Nightcap with Jared Yamamoto. So if you've liked tonight's show, I'm not going to repeat myself. The podcast version will be available this Monday, wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I also do a video podcast of my Nightcap. It's called Solo Moto. I do that every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on my socials at Jared Yamamoto. I promise you, I give back to the people. All right, a couple more stories here that I want to get to. Honestly, at this point, this is how I feel now. when people yelling at me for my political views, I've talked about how I would like to get into politics when I'm in my 50s. But at this point, when I get exhausted reading people just arguing back and forth about my political perspectives, maybe I'll end up being a dolphin cruise instructor at this point. Maybe that's what I'll end up doing in the future. I think that they have a very chill job. I don't know if I get bored going out there and driving the boat to go check out the dolphins. I think it would be easy money, and I think I'd like that easy way of living. That might be the other direction if I don't end up becoming a politician in my 50s. All right, the spotted lanternfly. So I was in Virginia last weekend, and this has been a nemesis. It's an invasive species, and it looks kind of cool. It's got these very red wings, but it kind of looks like a red-winged moth. And when you see them, kill it. Kill it immediately. Take a picture of it. And I was in Lynchburg, Virginia, and they were everywhere in Lynchburg, Virginia. I was there for my cousin's wedding and had a great time up there. But I noticed how many of these damn spotted lanternflies they had there. And if there's any state to blame for them, because they're like, oh, in Georgia, if you see it, take a picture and kill it, it's Virginia. They are not doing enough to get rid of these spotted lanternflies. And I want to make sure that our state stays safe from them because they eat crops. They eat important food supplies that you and me eat on a daily basis. We don't want our food supply to be tainted by these pesky spotted lanternflies. And so if you see them, number one, take a picture and send it off to DNR, Department of Natural Resources, and then kill it immediately, smash it. And I got to say, Virginia, though, you got to step up your game. You were an absolute problem, especially in Lynchburg. All right, and our last story of the night here, I wanted to get to this. Apparently, a high-protein diet may not be as cut out as we think. In fact, you probably should be eating less protein. That could lead to healthy aging in the future. 1 week protein's good, 1 week protein's bad. It's like coffee and eggs, right? 1 week coffee's good, 1 week eggs are good, 1 week they're bad. I don't know what to think anymore. All I know is, while I was hosting my youngest cousin, Tessa, this weekend, she was judging me for all of the protein shakes and the protein drinks that I had at my house. And maybe she'll get the last laugh. But for me, I don't get enough protein in my diet, so that's my way of trying to fix my problems and deficiencies is by eating protein in my life. And also, I don't want the cyclospora. That's another reason why I'm avoiding a lot of the greens to try to, so I'm supplementing with extra protein while not getting all these greens. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here on my Nightcap. Make sure you do a couple things for me. Give me a follow on my socials at Jared Yamamoto if you liked the show, or of course grab the podcast on Monday. But do these two specific things for me. Number one, be safe out there tonight. And number two, don't do anything I wouldn't do. And I'll talk to you Monday at 3 p.m. on the Von Hessler Doctrine.